Hey, Leilani with the Magical Solution here. I wanted to talk to you guys about how a negative energy can hijack a Misa. Okay, so first of all, this should not be a common occurrence. I'm going to put that right out there because when you have Misa, you have not only the person running the Misa, but you have a group of espiritistas who make it a point to secure and protect the space that the Misa is held in, and to cleanse and bless and protect each individual prior to them even walking into that space. And then you have systems of cleansings throughout the Misa for individuals to cleanse themselves, during the Misa, okay? So the likelihood of a negative energy, a demon, a this, or that, coming into your Misa is supposed to be slim to none. However, it happens. It does happen. And one of the more common ways that it happens is when individuals come, despite all of those things that I just mentioned, when an individual comes, they have what is called a character. They have their own spirit that has been molded and shaped by their experiences, by their ancestry, by their trauma, all the stuff, right? And if they have not dealt with that, if they have not done the work to deal with their traumas and with their issues, and if they don't have the proper coping mechanisms and social tools to deal with that, we're going to have issues. What's going to end up happening, okay, which happens so often. I'm sure you've heard the horror stories. You've heard the horror stories of a fight breaking out in the middle of Misa, or someone getting stabbed, or something crazy happening, right? These are horror stories that should not be happening, but they do. And they do because when mediums are giving their messages, one of the biggest issues that comes across is that many mediums, they might be good at what they do, but they're not good in delivering the message. They are lacking in tact. They are lacking in compassion, in understanding, in empathy. And so when they are delivering tough messages, they are delivering it very harshly. And so the person receiving that message will get triggered. Better yet, the spirit within them, the character within them, the parts of themselves that they have not dealt with within them gets triggered. And so what we end up seeing is a surfacing of these sort of causas, if you will, okay? And in a situation like this, one of two things can happen. It can either manifest in the ego, and so therefore you have a person now who's just all up in their feelings, they're cursing, they're upset, a fight might break out, whatever. Or it could manifest as an actual spirit, where the person feels like they are taken over by this emotion that has been triggered in them. Either way, when this happens in a Misa, it is really, really important for us to secure the safety of all the attendees in the space. It is important for us to maintain control in that space. And I'm going to give you a word of advice as someone who has dealt with these kinds of things. Trying to exercise, trying to banish, trying to break the hold of a spirit from a person during a Misa, when it's really not a spirit, when it's actually the person's character, is not going to be successful. It's just not. It's not going to be successful. And I think it's really important that you take advantage of the option of shutting down the Misa, sending the person away, and starting all over again. Okay? I know that sounds like a pain in the ass because we spend so much time in the very beginning setting up and praying and really charging up that space, and to have to stop, put everything back down, and then put everything back up again just is not ideal. But I promise you, instead of trying to fight with something that actually requires a therapist or a spiritual counselor and actually requires a lot of time, weeks, months, possibly even years, depending on how deeply embedded these characteristics are, how deeply wounded the person might be. And that is not the space for it. A Misa is not the space for it, because, and I'm not saying that it can never be a space for it. If you are dedicating a Misa to this particular purpose, and everyone in that Misa knows it's dedicated to this particular purpose, and they know that they may have to be in that Misa for an entire day possibly, that's a whole different story. But when you're going to Misa for development and to connect to spirit, and something like that pops up, that's not the time to try and find out who's the most powerful spiritualist out there to get rid of this thing. It's just not the time. So I wanted to make this video because this happens so often. When it comes to Misa, we really do not have to worry about external entities entering our space. What we have to worry about is the internal causas that each person is carrying with them, that is deeply embedded into their character and core. That is something that cannot be just simply cleansed away with some herbal bath. Those are the things that sneak into a Misa. Those are the things that hijack the space. Those are the things that create chaos in a Misa. And we can pray and we can hope that this person, especially if you know a few people that can fly off the handle pretty quick, we pray for them to have self-control, especially when they're hearing a very difficult message. But some days they just don't have it, okay? So it's really important to just simply take the safe route, shut down the Misa, send them away, and start all over again. All right? Hopefully you found this information helpful, and if you are the type of person who does not host Mistas, you are just someone who attends them, and you have yet to see this, buckle up, because you will. It happens all the time. And when that occurs, leave it up to the ones who are hosting the Misa, and you and the other attendees hold space. Hold space. What that means is keep the space in prayer. Every single person there should be in deep contemplation and prayer, while the head of the Misa and the other experienced espiritistas are dealing with that person. Because that's not your job. Okay? Hopefully, again, you found this information helpful. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments or send me an email or make a video for yourself. Either way, I'd be glad to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Leilani. This is The Magical Solution, and this is how we grow.